right. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Dr. Dana, and I'm so excited to be here with Dr. Luigi. We're going to give you guys a minute to get logged on. But as you guys are logging on, we'd love to know where you are watching from. So drop your name in the comments, where you're calling in, where you're watching from. And we're going to get started in a couple minutes. But we're really excited to be talking to you guys today about brain health, mental health, and everything that we can do to improve it. So say hi, and then we're going to get started. I don't know, Luigi, you want to introduce yourself real quick as people are getting logged on?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Luigi Groton, family medicine doctor with an expertise in clinical nutrition. I work side by side with Dr. Dana Ryan. And Dana, I know you've been traveling. I'm here in Los Angeles, California. Are you here in the United States, or are you somewhere in Europe or Asia?
Yes, I am briefly in the United States for a couple days before I head back over the Atlantic and get
Nice.
over to a few different countries before heading back
Okay.
to Minneapolis. So lots of travel, lots of exciting things. I know we'll chat about maybe how that and sleep or lack of sleep affects brain health. But I know we were a couple minutes late getting started. So as you guys are logging in, again, just drop us a line, say hi. Love to know where you're calling in from. But we're going to get started today on the topic of brain health. And mental health as well. I think these are two really important conversations. I know we're always talking about nutrition, we're talking about moving our bodies, and oftentimes when we think about these things, we are focusing on maybe building muscle or losing weight, but we don't always talk about the incredible benefits to our brain and other parts of our body when we're thinking about how we move our body and how we eat. So Luigi, maybe you want to get us started, but just when we talk about brain health, what is it that we actually mean?
Yeah, it's a great question. And Dana, I think it's so fitting that we're discussing this because a lot of people are talking about longevity and anti-aging, not just in the United States and North America, but globally. And I know you travel quite a bit, I travel a bit, so we get to see a lot of different people experiencing different health conditions, and we talk about those health and wellness principles. So brain health is pretty straightforward. Think about, I would like to use the examples of if you're watching television or you're watching something on your phone, and it's a lot about recognition and recall, basically how your brain works. Think about, I'm 54 years of age. I consider myself very young, but I know that as I'm getting older, sometimes there's an issue with recall. And recall is the ability to remember something. It's the joke of like, where did I put my keys when you're leaving the house? Or let's say you're trying to have a word finding sort of difficulty. You're speaking, we're having a nice conversation, and I'm trying to find an adjective, and I'm like, what is that word again, right? So a lot of that is memory that often sort of goes away as we're getting older. It's very normal, and it's a part of normal aging. So our brains are like computers, and we're gonna figure as it ages, there's some oxidation, there's some inflammation, there's some changes in the computer wiring, and so it's gonna happen. That's normal. The troubling thing is if we literally cannot remember, if we're having word finding difficulty, and we're trying to have a conversation, and it's a consistent issue of like being able to talk. That's when we start to talk about Alzheimer's. We start to talk about dementia. Another thing is sort of recall. Let's say, Dana, you and I are chatting and you're like, hey, do you remember this actor or this musician? And I'm looking at the picture and I cannot remember their name, right? Pick any celebrity you want. So that's pretty normal as well. We find a lot of folks may not remember, someone that they were growing up watching in their favorite boy band or girl band, right? From 30 years ago. That's normal. But the problem is if I don't recognize my brother or my cousin or my sister or someone of that nature, then that's troubling. So there's a spectrum to your question, Dana, of what's normal, recall and recognition. And there's something that's troubling when we start to look at Alzheimer's, dementia. So again, think of it as you get one computer. All the times that we've switched over computers, we've switched over our phones. We upgrade because there's something that's happened. The phone or the computer's overheated. It's broken. It's got some weird virus on it. We only get one brain, and we want to take care of that brain, whether we're 85 years of age or 25 years of age. So think about it as a processing unit. It's important for memory, recognition, recall, solving problems, and all those things. So it's normal to have some issues as we get older, but we want to make sure that we avoid them and we don't have the issues that are going to stop our activities of daily living. So that's the key, Dana, making sure we're independent as we grow older.
I think one of the things that you just said is really important. We're taking care of our brain, whether we're 25 or whether we're 85. And I think this is one of the things that we talk about with just nutrition and healthy living in general, is that it's never too late to start. So anyone that's listening that you think, oh, I haven't focused on my brain health and I'm 75, I'm 80, the body's an incredible machine. It's going to start adapting. So it's never too late to change some of the habits that are going to have a beneficial impact on your brain. But the other thing that I know, Luigi, you and I talk a lot about is sometimes, especially on the internet, especially on social media, when we're looking for maybe some of that clickbait type content, we try to make things really overcomplicated, or we think that there has to be some super complicated protocol that if you don't do this exactly right, you're not going to help improve your brain. But the reality is that it's really quite simple, right? We can do very simple, easy things that are going to have a big impact. So we can talk today about nutrition. What is it that we're going to put in our body? And then also, how do we move our body? Combine that with social support. That's going to get you 99% of the way there. So if you're someone that has been scrolling social media and you're just overwhelmed with all these crazy protocols and all these things that you have to do, we're going to just make it simple. What are some good foods? What are some ways to move your body so that you feel like after this 20 minutes that we spend with you guys, that you know that how you're moving your body is going to be beneficial for your brain. So we don't have to make it really complicated. So with that, Luigi, is there any types of foods or nutrients, things that you think are really beneficial for brain health?
Absolutely. So I think first and foremost, most of the clinical research shows there's a ton of research supporting the ideas that there are two things you can do to support your brain, whether you're 25 or 95. And that is exercise. And you're going to talk about that because you're a specialist in the area of exercise physiology and training and human performance. That is very exciting because we're seeing even in older people, and you'll talk about it, Dana, people who even have dementia, they're turning some of those symptoms around with exercise. Very exciting, and everyone should be exercising, which you're a big proponent of. The other thing is intellectually stimulating activity. Dana, you got your PhD, your master's, your bachelor's, you just got an MBA from big university out here, USC in Los Angeles. That means you're always reading and stimulating your brain. That's like you're exercising that brain muscle. That's very good. That avoids dementia. Clearly, the research shows that. I was in school a long time, right? And so the same thing. But even as we get out of school, doing things like crossword puzzles, reading books, doing brain stimulating activity where you're solving problems continues to keep the mind sharp and exercises those neurons where they're firing. And that's really good. So those two things are very well established in the literature. Another thing is the diet. When we look at people who live around the Mediterranean Sea, and they eat the Mediterranean diet, lots of fish, lots of olive oil, lots of high amounts of omega-3s, fruits and vegetables. If we look at people in Japan, Okinawa, Japan, where they live to be 100 years of age, they're 85 and they're living in these fishing villages, eating fish, drinking green tea, eating a lot of vegetables from the ocean, believe it or not. So we look at these populations, even over to Peru, where we see blue zones, where people are eating a lot of fish as well, fruits and vegetables, whole grains. The thing that people have in common is that they live a long time and they have good cognitive function, memory, recall, recognition. Those things are still fresh in their mind. And the research shows that if they're having fish, omega-3s, or if they're vegetarian or vegan, they're having, let's say, chia or quinoa or flaxseed. Those are omega-3 plant-based nutrients which get into the brain tissue. And we know that the brain is a lot of omega-3. So there is some connection where there's some support. Omega-3 helps to reduce inflammation in the body, and that may help the brain tremendously. Another thing is the antioxidants, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E. Those tend to reduce inflammation. You don't want to think of your brain as cooking or heating up, but around the body, your body's always in sort of conflict, oxidation reduction. We want to keep things cooled out and not having oxidation, okay, through inflammation. Another area that we think about is, which is interesting, caffeine is not really a nutrient, but caffeine helps to stimulate your focus and your central nervous system. If you have a cup of green tea or coffee, you feel more awake, alert. And things like theanine, and especially caffeine and theanine, which are often together in green tea, those help stimulate the brain, especially for short-term memory and focus. But I don't think of that as a nutrient, but we do see populations that drink a lot of green tea do very well. Three other things I'll mention are curcumin. I just got back from India, and I was traveling in India last week, and I had a lot of curry. They were serving me curry at every hotel, and curry has something called curcumin or turmeric. And you probably heard about it. It's very popular. And having that has been shown in a lot of clinical research to reduce inflammation, very good for cognition and brain health. Also, I mentioned vitamin E, but magnesium seems to be very helpful for getting a lot of the blood flow to the brain. And the last thing I'll mention are lots of green leafy vegetables and colorful fruits and vegetables, which have two carotenoids. These are called pigments that are called carotenoids. One is called lutein with an L, and the other one is a little tricky. It's called zeaxanthin. These two carotenoids, when we eat them in blueberries or blackberries or kale, collard green, spinach, they go into the blood. They cross into the blood-brain barrier. They get into your eye tissue and into the optic nerve and into the brain tissue. We're not sure why Mother Nature designed this, but it seems to be very protective, not only for the eye health, but for brain health. Lots of research on this. So please, please, please eat green leafy vegetables and lots of colorful fruits and berries. They're very helpful. So that's really it for diet. And of course, you want to stay away from saturated fats and fried foods and things like that, and high sugar.
I love it. And I think that, if you think about everything that you just said, when we think about heart health, when we think about joint health, when we think about just general inflammation, this applies as well too. So like we said at the beginning, you don't have to go out of your way to do all sorts of crazy things to help support your brain with a healthy diet. It's what you kind of already have been doing. A variety of fruits and vegetables, have lots of colors in your diet on a daily basis. All of these things are going to make a big difference. And it's great to say, we want to say hi to everyone that's listening. I know we have people from Sweden and North Carolina and the UK, Ohio. We've got people from all over the world listening. So thank you guys so much for jumping in, listening. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those in the chat as well, and we'll try and get to as many of those as we can. But Luigi, like we always talk about, it's about balance, right? We don't want to just focus on what we eat. We don't want to just focus on the exercise that we do, but it's really important that we do both every single day, eat healthy and move our bodies. And when it comes to brain health, exercise is so important. There is a quote out there saying what's good for the heart is good for the brain, right? So what does that mean, right? If you get your heart moving, if you're getting your heart rate up, if you're getting your oxygen circulating, if you're getting blood flowing through the body, yes, that's going to be beneficial for your heart. It's also going to be beneficial for your brain. So I encourage you guys, if you've never really thought about when you're exercising, maybe you're thinking about, what am I going to look like in the mirror? What am I going to look like in a bathing suit? I'm trying to build all this muscle, but you're also doing so much for your brain every single day, so that when you're 70, when you're 80, that's really going to help your cognition. So we know that exercise has tons of benefits. So both from mood, depression, anxiety. I don't know about you guys, but if you're ever in a bad mood or you're stressed out, if you go just to the gym and take it out on the weights or go for a run, you know that you're going to feel better afterwards. So when you're exercising, your body's releasing things like serotonin, dopamine. These are going to make you feel good. It's going to make you happier, right? It's going to put you in a good mood that maybe you weren't in before you started exercising. But there's also structural things that are happening within the body, especially as we get older. So there's different parts of the brain that are responsible for different aspects of memory, cognition, brain function. One of those is the hippocampus. And this is something that can actually decline in size as we get older. And we've actually seen that exercise helps to prevent that decline. And that's really going to help with memory, and it's going to help with learning. And so you are doing things that are physically going to help change your brain as you're exercising. So that's something that's really important. You're also promoting what we call neuroplasticity. And this is the body's ability to create those new neural networks and that communication through the brain throughout the body. And so it's really important, Luigi, you touched on this, that we're learning new things. We're trying new things. And so I would encourage you, when you're exercising, one of the things people say is like, well, what is the best type of exercise for brain health? I would say try new things. Yoga can be amazing for brain health. You have to be so focused, learning new moves. Every single class is not exactly the same. Yoga has been shown to be really beneficial for brain health. older adults, there was a great study that actually looked at dancing and brain health in older adults. And that combination of coordination, new movements, but also being around your peers is something that helped improve cognitive function, helped to reduce depression. And Luigi, I think that's one of the things that we wanted to touch on as well in the last couple minutes is that social connection, right? That's something that's really important. Going and working out with other people, being around other people, having conversations, just engaging in activities that are going to stimulate your brain. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but besides exercise and nutrition, super important we're around other people.
Absolutely. I'm going to touch on sleep just for a second because Dana, you opened with a joke about we've been flying around the world because we like to talk about the principles of health and wellness to different folks. And so we're often in an airport, and getting good sleep is so key. Sleep is so crucial. Now, when I was a kid, it was like if you overslept on the weekends, you were lazy. You got to get up and do your chores, and there's plenty of time to sleep when you're dead. People would joke about that. That is not the case. Sleep is so crucial. There's a very good reason why. If you ever go to, you probably remember when you were a kid in class and the teacher was calling your name because you were daydreaming. You're looking out the window thinking about your future. That's stage 1 of sleep, when you're sort of daydreaming. When you go deeper into stage 2, you start dropping towards stage 3 and 4. Stage 3 and 4 of sleep are crucial because a lot of electrical impulses start firing in your brain, and that helps to really clean the brain of a lot of stuff that's built up throughout the day, whether it's through diet, through bad activity, through inactivity, all these things that we don't, the deposits that are going to slow the circuitry down in the brain. So this is a sort of recent development that we found out in the last 20 years. A researcher in Boston found out that there is a system that cleanses the brain. It's called the glymphatic system with a G. You may have heard of the lymph nodes, like when the doctor feels under your neck, that's the lymph, but the glymphatic system's in your brain. And it literally washes away all the bad stuff and cleanses your brain when you're in stage 3 and 4. So there's a lot of research focused on how we can maximize stage 3 and 4 of sleep. But the best thing is try and get your 6 to 8 hours every night. 8 hours seems to be the crucial moment where when you dip down in those deep stages before you get to REM sleep, you're really washing your brain. Sounds weird, but there's some very good research on the glymphatic system. And to your point, Dana, and I'll throw it back to you, is socialization is so key. Having conversations, being active, being with people, and even talking to them about things means that you're starting to problem solve and you're having conversations in your brain. So I think that's crucial. It's something that we encourage. It's something that we try and engage in all the time.
Yeah, it's so important. I think back to your point on sleep, I think, if any of my friends are watching out there, they're probably saying, okay, Dana, you are the worst at sleeping. We know that you never get your 8 hours of sleep. You're all around the world. I know we both are, and it can be challenging. So, one of the things that I have started to do, because it's tough sometimes to get those 8 hours of sleep, is I've started to meditate. And we know there's actually a large growing body of research around the benefits of meditation for both brain health and for sleep. So if you're someone like me that's not always the best at sleeping, even though we're well-intentioned and we try, trying something like meditation can actually help with mood. It can help with anxiety, and it can also help with sleep. So I know a lot of times people are like, I don't know how to meditate. Don't worry about it. Just start slow. Meditate 1 or 2 minutes, move 3 or 4 minutes. Then you can maybe meditate. I tried 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night. It's kind of a good way to get a good reset, start your day, and also help kind of calm you to go to sleep. So I think for those of you that are struggling with sleep, try some meditation. Not only are you going to get some sleep benefits, but you're also going to get those brain health benefits. So I think what you guys can see is that it's really leading a healthy, active lifestyle, stuff that we talk about all day long. Yes, when you're exercising, aerobic exercise, really good for brain health. Yoga, Tai Chi, trying new types of exercise. All of these things are going to be really beneficial, not just for your musculature, but also for your brain health. We know there's we could get super nerdy and go deep down into things, like BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and all the things that happen in your body during exercise. But just trust us when we say, when you're exercising, you're doing wonders for your brain. So the most important thing we always say is move more than you sit, right? Really important to just get your body moving. And then Luigi, I don't know, to end, if you want to recap some of those top foods. Curcumin is definitely top of my list.
I think it's great. And I've noticed some of the questions, maybe I'm getting them a little late, but I think what you just touched on is all the elements, all the things that we just reviewed. These are the key things that the literature shows works every time. Remember, exercise is crucial. There's just a new paper that Dr. Dana shared with me showing that even people who have dementia, remember I was saying I forget this and that, word finding difficulty. Let's say you take an 85-year-old who has some light dementia, some moderate dementia. It has been shown clinically, it's very promising, that if they exercise, they will improve upon some of those symptoms of dementia. That's incredible. This I'd never seen, where you're actually reversing some of these signs of dementia. That means that maybe we're able to repair some of the damage that's been done in the brain, but it's too early to tell. A lot of promising things, but like she said, the physical activity is crucial. The intellectual activity, whether it's learning another language, people who are bilingual tend to have sort of less, bilingual or trilingual or more, tend to have sort of less dementia because they're operating their brain when they're speaking 2 or 3 more languages. Obviously, doing things as simple as doing puzzles, and try and stay off the computer if you can do written puzzles, or just reading books. Try and cycle through, like if you get into a book club, it's a twofer, because not only are you reading the book, but then like Dana said, you're going to be socializing in the book club the thoughts that you had from the book. And that is a very important part of cognition. So I think those things are important. I did want to just reiterate, your nutrition is key. Now, supplementation, I'm a big proponent of it. So you can find your favorite supplements. There are some controversies about what supplements should you get, but just understand that, think about the principles, the omega-3 fats, the magnesium, the caffeine and the theanine that we talked about, the curcumin that you find in all those have been shown very well to work. So make sure that you find all those factors, and of course, focus on the things you want to get rid of. No smoking, minimize alcohol consumption. Make sure you're not inactive, you're doing movement like Dana said. And of course, toxins in the environment, people who live closer to the freeway, there's some data that's kind of bad. So try and get clean air, clean water, and all things. So Dana, that's what I would finish on before I throw it back to you, is follow all those principles that we've seen in the literature, and everyone can live a long life with a healthy brain.
Yeah, I think that the take home is, you don't have to go do anything crazy. Move your body, get a variety of colors in your diet, get out, spend time with friends, spend time with family, get outside. One of the best things about exercising is you're outside in the air, you're getting vitamin D. And it's just an amazing way to get both physical and brain health benefits as well. So I think that's where we can leave it. Hopefully, you guys, what you took away from this is you're probably already doing a lot that's good for your brain, and you might not have even noticed it. So all those different colors of foods that you're doing, every time you're moving your body, you're really helping to benefit your brain and your longevity. And again, it's never too late to start. So those little changes make a really big difference at the end of the day. So with that, we thank you guys all for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and we will be back in the next couple months with some more exciting topics. So thank you guys so much, and have a great rest of your afternoon.
Take good care, everyone.